Hello. One of the key benefits of an enterprise architecture platform is your ability to be able to integrate it with a configuration management database, otherwise known as CMDB. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can integrate ServiceNow with Essential Cloud Enterprise Architecture Platform. And the good news is you don't have to pay anything to be able to reproduce all I'll be doing in this video. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I believe you should be able to see my screen now. As you can see, I'm in my ServiceNow account. For you to create a new account, just visit developer.servicenow.com and you'll be able to create a PDI, a personal developer instance. Because of our time, there are some prerequisites to starting this video that I already did. So I'll just give a quick overview on them. Number one, there are a couple of plugins in my PDI instance that I already have set up. If I should, okay, let me go to manage my instance. So you can see I just expanded this navigation, manage my instance. Then this is my instance. I will scroll down and over here, I would enter integration. So because of what we want to do, you need to have this integration hub installed. You need to activate it and as well as get it started. You need to activate it. Okay. So I already activated mine, as you can see here. Then another thing is that so obviously in your essential cloud, your credentials, you need to have that handy as well. So let's just get started. Let's get started. So the first thing I would do is I want to add some data. I'll start building, come to start building. I want to add some data to my CMDB so that we can use that data. Although I already populated it with some demo data, but I want to add some data myself. So I come to workspaces and I click on CMDB workspace. I'll just add one or two data and before we get started. Controls that talks about configuration management, but and we all used to see it as something very theoretical, but it's really quite technical. There's a technical aspect to it. So I would make use of the quick links. I'll click on create CI. CI stands for configuration item. So I'll click on that. The first thing I'll be doing, I need to specify the class. So there are different type of configuration items that I can choose to create. If I should expand this, you can see a list of so many. Some are quite generic, others are more specialized to certain solutions. So I want to work with the one for servers. So I'll just go to cmdb underscore ci underscore server. Okay. So I click continue. Then I can specify the attributes. I want to make this very simple. So I'll click on just the name of the server, the serial number. Yeah, just the name and the serial number. Let's start with that. Then I will scroll down. I'll give it a name. Let me call the server Frankly Ayo OS operating system. Then for the serial number, 1234 hyphen 567 hyphen 89. Okay, the serial number for my server. So I click on continue. I can just give some additional attributes owned by. So I added demo data. That's why you can see a lot of names in my account. So I imported demo data when I was adding the plugin for this location. Let's go to California, managed by the group. Um, Let me go with database. Okay, so we'll click on continue again. So all of this, I can add relationship. I will just add something random. Let me add this. I'm just adding some relationship. Okay, so we are good. Operational status. Um, Ready. So let's take note of the name. I called it Frankly iOS, right? So let's create. So it has been created. Should I create another one? No. One is fine. Done. Okay, so that's the first step. We needed to create. I created the configuration item. Okay. So the next thing I will do now is I'm going to my workflow studio. So I will scroll. I can go back. Let's go over here. Let's open this. I'll go to my workflow studio. This is my workflow studio. So I hope we understand what we want to do. So what I want to do is, I think, let me explain what I want to do first so that we'll all be on the same page. Let me not assume anything. Let me stop sharing and I'll share um I'll share a technical architecture so that we can at least see what we want to do. Okay, so what I want to do is, let me take this back. Okay. So what I basically want to do is that in my configuration management database, especially in the one for server, because I'm using servers now as an example, if let's say there is a new server added to my configuration management database, I want that should trigger a change in my enterprise architecture platform. And I want this to be automated. I do not want it to require any manual intervention. What I want is the moment a new server is added in my CMDB, I want that change should be reflected in my enterprise architecture platform. So there should be some kind of synchronization between my enterprise architecture platform and my IT service management platform. And we can see the architecture around that. This is the entire process that we are going to be going to. This is another diagram that speaks to what we are going to be doing. Even if it looks a little bit um, complicated for you right now, by the time we start to flow, you would get more clarity around it. Okay, so let's go back to our browser. Okay, so I believe you can see my screen now. So what I'll be doing is, I believe you can still see my screen. What I'll be doing is, this is the home page for our workflow studio. The first thing I will be doing is I want to create a custom action. So I'll come over here, I'll click on action. I want to create a custom action. So because I don't want this video to be too long, I'll just be flowing along and I will assume that you have some background understanding on some of these things. But if you should watch this video multiple times, I believe things will get a little bit clearer for you. So my custom action, let me give this frankly are your action. This is action for my trigger. Yeah, global. So let's build action. Then we are going to add inputs. We are going to create inputs. But before I do that, okay, let's create input first before we add our steps to our action. So let me click on create inputs. Let me call this input let me call this inputs um frankly are your server record. Let me put it that way. The variable name should be the same thing. Then the type, take note of this. The type, we are going to change it to reference. Change it to reference. Then for the reference name, we'll specify the server that we want, cmdb underscore ci underscore server, because we want this action should be associated with our server. Okay, so this is fine. So we have our inputs. The next thing I want to do is I'll create steps. So for you to create steps within this input is you need to make use of this plus symbol between input and output. Okay, so I will search for REST. Yeah, so let's start with REST. So let me call this step because we are going to use this step to request for a token because we need to authenticate with Essential Cloud so that we'll be able to have access to send data into it. So I'll call this auth step. Essential auth step. So to keep things simple, I'll change this from connection alias to define connection inline. We don't need to use MID because it's not standing in front of, we are not doing any kind of caching. Then the base URL, I'm going to copy it. Just give me a moment. to fetch my base URL. So that's the URL for your essential cloud tenants. I'm fetching mine. Just give me a moment. Okay, yes, I've seen it. Yeah, connection timeout. We don't need to set that. Resource paths. Okay, so I need to search for this as well. Let me get the URL. The resource path is the where we have our token, the token endpoint. Um, I'm really hopeful this video will not be too long because I do not want to cut it. Okay, I've gotten my resource path. Yeah, that's my resource path. API forward slash OAuth forward slash token. Then it's a post request. It's not a get request. So we change this. Query parameters, we don't have that, but headers, we have a couple of headers we need to include. Content type, instead of typing, let me just look for it and paste. I know content type should be application slash JSON. Yeah, so let me copy. We have a couple of headers that we must include. Our API key as well. So I don't want to show you my API key. So for now, I'll just add something random here. So I think that's really what we need to do. Just the content type and the API key for this request. Request type, we can leave it as text. Then request body. Let me paste it. Our username, password, and grant type. Okay. Okay, so I would change this password before I start this video. So we can leave this for now before I upload the video. I didn't know when I pasted it. Okay, so let's scroll down. So I think that's what we need for this step. So We can save this. We can save this. Um, so let me add a new step. This time around, we'll be adding a script. Okay, so before I add our scripts, before I add our scripts, okay, let's add our script. Let's add our scripts. Yeah, so I'll just paste a particular code over here that you can use. Where's my, okay, so let me paste this. Yeah, so we need to create a variable because you can see we are referencing the variable from here as part of input. We need to create an input variable. So I'll click on create variable, call it response underscore body. And for the value, the variable we are getting our we are using the response from this rest step. We are passing it into this next step. So we need to use our data pill picker to select the response from this first step, essential step. So we need to select the response body because it's the response body that contains our token that we want to use in this script step. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so then for the output, you can see we reference an output token. So we need to create this as an output variable as well because we are going to be using this token variable in the next step. I'll be creating another REST step that will actually be submitting data to Essential Cloud. So let me copy this. Let me scroll down. Create an output variable. I'll call it token. Yeah, so I think this is fine. So we can leave it as a string because it's an hash, so it's fine. Um, so I think we are good. We are good. So what this is doing is that you know that the response contains the bearer token, it contains the refresh token, it contains the expiry of the bearer token, the expiry, how long the refresh token will be valid and the likes. But we're only interested in the bearer token. That's why we needed to create this input variable and that output variable. I hope it is clear. I don't know how else I can explain it, but so we are creating another step now. This is the actual step that will submit the data. So we also change this to inline. Base URL, I need to get or I can just copy it from here. Let me copy it because it's the same base URL. It's just the resource part that will be different. Okay, so now resource part, let me go and copy the resource parts from my notepad. Resource parts. Give me a moment to copy it. Okay, and this is also a post request, so you change this. I don't know if I mentioned this, but there are two ways of actually setting up these steps. So I'll probably show you the second way in the next video. You can do the authentication step using a web service within your system web service outbound message. I'll show you, I'll probably do that in another video. So query parameters, we can leave that. It's our headers. Let me copy our headers now. Content type, where are you? I don't want to type. I think it's a lot faster if I do copy and paste. And if I should type, I might get some spelling wrong. Okay, so let's add API key. I hope I'm not going to forget to add the correct API key before I run it. Now, this is the interesting part. We need to add our bearer token now. Let me fetch authorization. Yeah, authorization. So now this is what we are going to do. So when I enter bearer here, space, instead of using Postman to generate a bearer token and pasting it here, I wouldn't do that because I already have a step that is doing that for me. So I'll just use the data pill picker and I would go to um that step. I'll go to my script. So this authentication step has already passed the token to the script step. So it passed only the token out of all the various properties and values that is within that was part of the response. So I'll go to my script and I'll select just the token. That was the reason why I added token as an output variable. That was the reason why I added it. So you can see we are now referencing the token here. Okay. So we are good with that. Now, the request body. Yeah, so this is quite interesting. Request body now. So you need to have gone through the API slash enterprise architecture. You need to have gone through this API documentation so that you know the type of data that Essential Cloud expects for different endpoints. So I'm not going to dwell on this in this video, but just go through this API documentation and you will know how I got what I will be pasting now. Yeah. So let me just fetch my request body and I will paste it. Yeah. But in this case now, the name, the description, I do not, I want it to be fetched from the change, from the new data that was added in my CMDB. So I will just take this out or select it, anyone. Then I'll use the data pill picker I'll go to my input. That was why we added inputs to the action. So I'll go to my inputs. I'll click here and you can see the name of the input that we had. I will expand this. So this is for the name, right? So I'll go to the name of the server. I'll go to the name. I'll select name over here. I think I didn't select this. So let me do it again. Let me close this. Let me just come over here. Inputs, scroll down to name. Okay, so you can see it's within the brace now. Then also the description as well. I believe I added a description. Scroll down to description and I'll select the description. Then this for the short name. I can also reference, no, I didn't add the description. I added the serial number. So let me add the serial number as the description. Let me add the serial number, the description. I can't remember if I added the description, but I can remember I added the serial number when we were doing 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. So let me just add that as the description. Serial number. Okay. Then for the short code, let me just put frankly Ayo 1, 2, 3. Frankly Ayo 1, 2, 3 ServiceNow. Okay, so that's our request body. So you can make it as dynamic as you like. So you can also make this short name dynamic as well, but I just feel like using something static. But this class name is what would tell Essential Cloud the actual location where it should submit the data. Okay, so we have that. So I think that's all we need to do. The only thing I would do next is that I would modify my API key. I'll put the valid API key. So let me save this. I'll stop sharing and I would modify the API keys. So let me just show you the architecture while I am adding the API key. Okay, so let me get my API key. Where is my API key? Okay, yeah, I found it. Copying it now. I hope you can't see my browser. Yeah, my API key. I also need to add my API key to the rest, um, to the what's it called? The first rest step. Okay, so let me save. Let me just go through to be sure that I do not have any to be sure that I didn't miss anything. Okay, so I think we are good. I think we are good. I think everything makes sense. I think we are good. Okay, so let me share my screen back. Let me share my browser back. Okay, so I think we are good with this. So after saving my action, this is my custom action. After saving it, I will publish. So I'm publishing now. Yeah, good. So we've published that. So now let's go back to our workflow editor homepage. Now we want to create a new flow. We're creating a new flow now. From here, I just clicked on flow before we went to action. So now I click on flow. Okay, so we need to give our flow a name. Let me call this frankly are your flow. This is my flow. So we can build flow. Okay, now we need to add a trigger in our flow. You know that earlier on I said that we want to make it such that when there is a new addition to our CMDB, we want to send a trigger to Essential Cloud so that automatically that new addition will be updated in our Essential Cloud EA platform. So we add in a trigger. I would with records. So if a record is created or updated, so I think in our own case, I can pick created, but even if you want it such that you even if there's an update, you want it to send the trigger. But some organizations usually prefer to update their enterprise architecture repository from the enterprise architecture platform in itself. But when there's a new addition, they usually want it to come from the CMDB. But in terms of updates, they rather have the updates from the EA platform, updates or modifications. So, but in this case, which should I go for? Let me just go with created. So only when there is a new creation, if there's an update, it will not push it. Let me go with created. Yeah, so let's choose a table. Remember, we are only, this CMDB is for table alone, but you can extend it to any CMDB that you have as part of your ServiceNow platform. Server. Okay, so we'll click on server. Yeah, so we can click on done now. We've added our trigger. We now need to add action. So after that trigger is activated, the next thing is this action that we want to happen. Yeah, so you can see there are many options here as part of the action, but I want to go with our custom action, and I called it frankly IO action. So you can see under global, frankly IO action. Okay, so now we'll use our data pill picker to select um, our the record that we created for this. So I'll click on this, save our records. Um, let's do that again. Data pill picker. Okay, so we can just go with the entire server record. Can just click on the entire server record. Since we are taking the entire record in itself. So I think we are good here. I think we are good. Done. So this is one approach. Okay, let's be done completely. Let's see if everything will be succeeded before I would now tell you how you can an alternative way of going about this, especially the steps that we added to the action. So I can activate my flow now if I'm ready to go live, but it's best practice that you test it first. So let me click on, let's test it first and see that everything is fine. So I've clicked on tests. We want to pick the server record. You can see it now goes to our CMDB CI server. So let me select the one that I created. I created Frankly IO OS. So let's pick this. You can see it has been integrated already. So now let's run the test and hopefully there will not be an issue. Hopefully. I don't know why I have the feeling that in my action there's something I am meant to do that slipped my mind. And let's see, let's see. Hopefully it's going to work well. Yeah, it's done. Let's see the execution details. Completed, completed. Wow, that's good news. So let me click on the action. Let's see all the steps. That's good. Usually I it's a good thing that I didn't make mistake this time. Normally I debug. So let me scroll down to especially to be sure that everything worked well. Wow, it definitely worked. From the response, you can see we are getting ID store 3000. That tells you that it was submitted to Essential Cloud. That's good. If I should go to my Essential Cloud now and I log into my EA platform, you are going to find this Frankly IO OS in the repository. So you can see that I was able to do it without logging on to my Essential Cloud platform. Okay. So the other approach I wanted to show you, this video is already getting too long, is instead of doing um the authentication and the rest and the all of that in as part of the action, you can do them from here. So from this page where you click on the workflow studio, just go to search for rest. Is it rest outbound? Um outbound message. Or rest message. Let's see, rest message. Yeah, so under outbound, system web services, outbound, then under outbound, rest message. Okay, let me see how many minutes I've done so far. I hope I've not done up to 30 minutes. Okay, let me stop sharing and check how many minutes. Okay, let me just show you this very fast. Yeah, so over here, you can create the authentication steps from here, as well as the HTTP request that submits data to your you can to Essential Cloud. You can do all of that from here as well. Then the HTTP request, you can add your headers and the likes from here. So you can do all of that from here as well, add your endpoints and the likes. Then you can now reference this in your flow. So probably in my next video, I'll be showing you how you can do this. But it's quite useful. It's another approach that you might find more comfortable. So basically in this video, I've been able to show you how you can integrate your CMDB, your configuration management database to your enterprise architecture platform. And we used Essential Cloud and ITSM platform that's with CMDB features. And it does not have to be ServiceNow, whatever CMDB that you have. I mean, in some of my last video, we saw how we could use Microsoft Azure. So whatever you are using, it can be integrated to your EA platform. That's when you have real value when this synchronization is in place. So if you find this video helpful, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.